All right, well, thank you guys for coming. So before we're talking about Senate elections as well as the GAF raises. So first off, this is our current Senate. We have, there's a president, vice president, CFO, secretary, and then there's 5 representatives per class. So this is just a little bit about what Senate actually does. So kind of in general, we represent student Senate. We represent the student body at the university, local, and state level.
Yeah, so one of the first things, since we don't have a Constitution committee member here, Senate is responsible for approving new student organizations. We kind of review each and every student org's Constitution. We approve it. You're an organization, great. That way you can apply for SOAP, which is Student Organization Funding. We also kind of dictate the budgets for that, given how much we're giving from the university each year. It's divvied up to all student organizations, as well as we also take part in GAF, which you'll hear a little bit more about that. We kind of help with the GAF process each year to determine, what departments, non-academic departments get money. So yeah.
Public relations manages the Hard Rocker discount program, which is like a agreement between students and local businesses to get discounts, and then we stream all the meetings as well as just like general Senate publicity.
Awesome. And then student affairs, we help to kind of maintain communication between the student body and administration. We're the ones that organize the open forum today, and we do other stuff. We're responsible for Spirit Friday. You might see us in Lower Surbeck every 3rd Friday of the month, but this month it's going to be after spring break. So.
And then finally, kind of as a whole, especially on the president and vice president side, Student Senate, along with the other 5 Board of Regents schools, we're very responsible for lobbying at both the state legislature level and the Board of Regents to kind of tell them what is in the students' best interest each year, whether it may be tuition freeze or certain bills going through the legislature or different policies. It's really a year-by-year basis for that. This year we lobbied a lot for mental health policy and mental health resources at the state level. We actually had a bill passed, which was great. It should be going to the governor's desk here within the next couple of days, so we should be seeing a few state dollars for that. But it's really fun to kind of meet other students from different universities and kind of lobby at the state level and kind of get to really know how your government works here in South Dakota.
Awesome. So how do you become a senator if you so choose to? So you grab a petition. They are next to the candy bucket in the back, and all you have to do is you have to get 20 signatures from your class. So if you're a sophomore now, you'll be a junior representative next year because you'll be a junior next year. So then you get 20 signatures of people that are going to be juniors next year. And then once you have those 20 signatures, you will return it to the Senate office in Lower Surbeck. It's kind of right as you walk in, kind of as you head to the
Student.
Yeah. And so that is due to the Senate office by March 22nd at 5 p.m.
Yeah, and then after that, you want to campaign. There hasn't been a whole lot of campaigning in the past few years, mainly because of COVID. I remember my freshman year, people would campaign very, I don't want to say ferociously, that sounds bad, but they would campaign very vehemently. They would, have posters out. They'd have, there were debates. There was just a lot of engagement with Senate, and I'm hoping that hopefully this year we can maybe bring some of that back now that COVID is, for the most part, not part of our lives.
So here are some perks of being on Senate. So if you're one of these positions, you'll get a salary. And next year, these are projected salary increases. So we're hoping that these go through. So chair positions, that would be the chairman of Student Affairs, Constitution Committee, Public Relations, Government Relations, and I believe that's it, correct? Yeah. And as well as that, it's a really good thing to have on your resume. It shows that you're a leader. It shows that you're able to work with a lot of people from different backgrounds. And even if you feel you're not super strong in that right now, it's something that can really help you to build that and also build your leadership skills. And you also get to travel to different universities if you choose. You can go to SHED and lobby at the state level. And you also have a say in how South Dakota Mines is run. So if you're super passionate about anything you want to change, come be on Senate. It's a really good place to kind of do that.
Yeah. that kind of wraps up the running for Senate, what it means to be a senator, and what Student Senate does. Do we have any questions from the audience at all before we move on to the GAF portion of our open forum? Do we have any online questions, Morgan? Okay.
Do anyone?
Thank you so much for being here. And then we're going to kind of move into the GAF portion of this. It's going pretty quick. But yeah, I can kind of go over what GAF is. It's a general activity fee. It's applied to every credit hour you take. This funds a lot of things you can kind of see here. It goes to athletics, counseling, wellness center, everything else on there. There's a few others I didn't have time to type on there or room to type on there. It also goes to bonds. We currently have 3 bonded buildings on campus. Think of that as a mortgage for Surbeck, with 2 on Surbeck and 1 for the wellness center. Those bonds take roughly half the GAF fees. The other half roughly goes to these departments. It also includes SOAP. Well, it used to. A few years back, there was a miscommunication, and SOAP for all student organizations was taken off, and we have a reserve account that we've been kind of feeding off for the last couple of years, but that can't last forever. So that kind of brings us to why we need a GAF increase, which that kind of, why if we're here to serve the students, why would we need a GAF increase? Well, it would only be about $35 per year for 30 credits, so it's not a whole lot. Currently, we're petitioning the Board of Regents for this. News from yesterday, I guess, from Joe being passed down. It doesn't seem like it's super likely, so we'll probably stick at the current GAF fee of $49.60 for next fiscal year. But this way, it would just kind of help us be a little more financially responsible with how our student organizations are run, and alleviate the amount taken out from the reserve, so we don't lose that in case there's an emergency or supplemental SOAP funding or anything like that that's needed. So that's kind of our thought process behind why we might need a GAF increase next year, but we're very welcome to take any student opinions, either for or against that, into account. So that's really it for GAF. It's a complicated process. The finances of this school are kind of complicated. It's fun to try to delve into it, but it's a lot. So that's our best understanding right now, that this would benefit students in the long run with this slight increase. It matches inflation, so it's not like it's going above inflation or trying to take more money than I guess we need. Technically, we probably need more than that, but if we can match with inflation, that at least helps the budget for next year. So, any questions at all? Any of our senators have questions?
I'm correct in saying our current and proposed GAF fees are relatively small compared to other VOR schools, especially for the opportunities and amenities?
Yeah, so we actually rank 3rd. So USD has the highest, SDSU is the 2nd highest, we have the 3rd highest. With this increase, we'd still be 3rd highest in the state, if I'm not mistaken. So, and you can look all this up on the South Dakota Board of Regents fact book as well if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of the numbers, but yeah.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions? Doesn't have to be related to anything we talked about, but anything else you'd like to ask Senate or bring up? Any opinions you'd like to share? Anything?
I think we touched on what GR does.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess I kind of touched that with like the lobbying and stuff, but if you want to talk about what
Yeah.
more GR does, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know you mentioned SHED a little bit earlier, so just to like kind of, GR does a lot with that, so we'll research like kind of like the legislation that's being put out, and then kind of like go in and like what the bills we're looking at are, and like go more in depth and like seeing what they do, and then we'll present those to Senate, and then we'll have this big meeting that we basically vote whether or not to stand in favor of, abstain from, or stand against those bills. That's a big part of our thing, so a lot of SHED, and SHED is Student for Higher Education Days in South Dakota. So basically we spend about 2 days in here, right, 2 days, yeah, in here, South Dakota, Capitol, and basically we go there to lobby, that's a big part of that, and lobby and talk to state officials. And then another part of GR is just running the elections, so like the spring election, fall election for the freshmen, and the elections for president and vice president. And there's another general thing we do is communicate with our with local government as well. So like city council, local state legislatures, and just to see like kind of minor things we can do to sort of improve the lives of our students at a government level. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Sorry we brushed over that.
Any other comments or questions at all? Anything online, Morgan? Well, thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to anybody here on Senate. We'll gladly answer any other questions you may have in the future. So,
Yeah, there's also a comment box, so if you want to be anonymous, you can just drop your question in there. So.
yeah.